Comic Boom.
Hey guys, Comic Boom here to review Superman issue 10, where once again the cover has absolutely nothing to do with the content of the comic book. The cover says The Wrath of Jor-El. There is no Wrath of Jor-El in this comic book. Complete misdirection. Once again, I don't know why you would want a cover that has absolutely nothing to do with the content of the comic book. I mean, Bendis' writing is controversial enough as it is. I don't think they need to continue to resort to complete misdirection on the covers. Is Jor-El insane or isn't he? We thought he was insane, but apparently he's just an eccentric grandpa. Now he's back to being insane who has a lot of wrath if you believe what's on the cover. Nonsense if you ask me, but let's get started. We start off this comic book with young Age-Jon-Kent, 17-year-old Age-Jon-Kent, explaining to mom and dad what happened, and explains that, when we last left off, he meets his crazy, psychotic mom on the crime syndicate Earth, otherwise known as Superwoman. And he apparently tells his mom tells Lois and Superman that it's a good thing I don't have any issues with you, Mom, because I didn't react badly when Superwoman attacked me. She looked just like you, Mom. Superwoman attacked me and I didn't freak out. It's a good thing I was brought up so well and I don't have any residual trigger issues with you. Otherwise, I might have got upset that Superwoman was attacking me and wanted to kill me. But that wasn't the case, right? Crazy. One of the things that's absolutely insane about this issue and why I'm so disappointed in the narrative direction that this has gone is that it's quite clear that under Bendis' script that Age-Jon-Kent spent 7 years on the crime syndicate Earth. Literally years. 7 years trapped on a volcano with Ultraman and escapes and then goes into the equivalent of the crime syndicate watchtower, runs into Superwoman who attacks him insanely, and he's rescued by Jor-El on the crime syndicate Earth and brought back into our dimension. That took place 7 years. So he literally spent 7 years on the crime syndicate Earth, and we're to believe that Age-Jon-Kent has got no residual effects whatsoever. He's perfectly fine. He doesn't have any post-traumatic stress. He doesn't have any issues. He wasn't injured. He's perfectly healthy. He's perfectly fine. He's not psychologically tormented. He's not physically tormented. He's absolutely perfectly fine. He wasn't even bothered by Ultraman psychotically keeping him in prison for 6-7 years. He wasn't psychotically disturbed or in any way upset at all that Superwoman attacked him and it looks an awful lot like his mother. He doesn't seem to be bothered at all by any of this stuff. This stuff is absolutely... you would think that this would have some effect on what he thinks, but it doesn't. He's perfectly content with it. He's perfectly fine. He's rescued by Jor-El. He comes back to our dimension, and everything is just hunky-dory. Does that make any sense to you? So we're supposed to believe that absolutely nothing is wrong with Age-Jon-Kent. Age-Jon-Kent just had this adventure, and now he's back, and everything's fine. Right. Yeah, great writing there, Bendis. Great writing. The other astonishing thing, apparently perhaps falls into the category of a big reveal, is that when Jor-El finally gets Age-Jon-Kent back, he's so excited to see Grandpa. He figures Grandpa rescued me. Well, Jor-El tells him, you've only been gone 3 weeks. You've been gone 3 weeks. But apparently there was a combination of a series of extraordinary events that led to Age-Jon-Kent being pulled into the crime syndicate Earth. And apparently it was a black hole time flux generator on top of a tear in the dimensional slide brought about by an apocalyptic event at the source wall that happened only once. So a crazy combination of multi-universal events and the breakdown in the source wall that happened in the pages of Justice League, flowing out of the pages of Metal, that just happened to happen at a time that sucked Age-Jon-Kent into a wormhole and sent him to the crime syndicate Earth back in time. So this would have been presumably before the Darkseid War, if in fact the Darkseid War ever happened, before the crime syndicate was essentially killed in Darkseid War, or most of them killed in Darkseid War. It sent him back in time, back in space, only to end up back 3 weeks later, our time, where he's talking to Grandpa again, and Grandpa's all upset because he says, John, you have no idea the sacrifices that I made. Apparently Jor-El has been looking for him for 3 weeks, but apparently made a lot of deals and he made a lot of compromises So there's a suggestion or implication that Jor-El maybe made some deals with some nefarious people in order to try to find where Jor-El was and pinpoint him so he could rescue him from Superwoman on the Crime Syndicate Earth. So there's a lot here that's probably gone on behind the scenes. In other words, all the excitement, all the stuff that would have actually made for an interesting story, we've been completely deprived of. And what a talk about a forced, thoroughly uninteresting story. 7 years on Crime Syndicate Earth, and we don't know, and that's just it. This is so forced. But hey, now we got 17-year-old Age-Jon-Kent who's back, and he's old. And now, why do we need a 17-year-old Age-Jon-Kent when we got Connor Kent already in Young Justice? Why do we need two 17-year-olds? Why? Why couldn't we kept 10-year-old Jonathan Kent? And I say again, we have a 10-year-old boy that was trapped on Crime Syndicate Earth, and you expect me to believe that 7 years of incarceration on Crime Syndicate Earth and Age-Jon-Kent is still just a pie in the sky, eye in the sky, crazy, just wonderfully light-hearted, jovial young boy that he was 7 years of incarceration on Crime Syndicate Earth? Come on. Or even if he wasn't incarcerated for the full 7 years. That's insane to me. You're not going to convince me at all that there wasn't some consequence or something of consequence that must have affected his psyche, must have happened to Age-Jon-Kent during that time period. But apparently no, because he was raised so well by Lois and Clark. Give me a break. This is so ridiculous. I just don't believe it. Jor-El rescues Age-Jon-Kent, and all of a sudden the ship is attacked by Rogol-Zar, jaz-ur, and General Zod. Now, what's interesting about that is I don't know why General Zod is on the side of Rogol-Zar. I thought Jor-El, because we didn't know what happened, because both Superman and General Zod were attacking and battling Rogol-Zar when Superman got sucked out of the Phantom Zone. But apparently now General Zod appears to be working with Rogol-Zar along with jaz-ur, and they've attacked Jor-El's ship. And as they're being attacked, Jor-El basically teleports Age-Jon-Kent to Earth, and he's left alone to battle Rogol-Zar and General Zod and jaz-ur. Now, Age-Jon-Kent explains this to his parents. And what's interesting here, he explains this to his parents. So Superman knows that the ship, that Jor-El ship, that Grandpa's ship was attacked by Rogol-Zar, General Zod, and jaz-ur, and his reaction appears to be, or at least Lois's reaction appears to be, my God, go kick Grandpa's butt. Doesn't seem to bother Lois that it's Rogol-Zar that maybe they should be concerned about, but no, it's go kick Grandpa's butt. Did you not kind of read between the lines? Age-Jon-Kent described who attacked him. It's Rogol-Zar, it's jaz-ur, it's General Zod. We know that Age-Jon-Kent knows who General Zod is, and we know it. So this seems a little odd to me. Also, once again, the dialogue. Lois and Clark are having a conversation. They still can't believe their kid's grown up again. Everything seems so rushed, this storyline. It gets to the end, and so he explains all this is happening, and then Superman wants to take John and basically go back up to the ship. How do they even know where they're going? All of a sudden, nonsensically, Age-Jon-Kent's suit that Jor-El gave him once he was rescued by Jor-El, that it seems to be activated, and it transports him and Superman to the battle zone again, where they're transported back into space, where apparently Rogol-Zar attacked Jor-El's ship. We don't actually see Jor-El's ship. I don't know. It looks like there's either Ranians or Thanagarians that are flying around there. I'm not really sure what's going on there. This seems really chaotic. Is this going to be linked somehow to Naomi? I don't know. Maybe there's going to be some linkages there. The Unity saga might ultimately have links to Naomi. I would suspect that seems to be the rumor. I'm not really sure. All I know is that from a storytelling point of view, this is a convoluted mess. This doesn't work well. It doesn't flow well. It just goes all over the place. I say again that Superman and Lois, their conversations are crazy. Superman tells Lois that, I love you, Lois Lane. This is a woman that has engaged in nothing but deception where her husband's concerned, violated his secret identity, violated his trust by telling her father what his secret identity was, kept the secret of John, kept the secret of her return secret from him. wanting to convey the image that they're separated, that her and Clark are separated to the general public. This whole thing seems off. The dialogue the dialogue just doesn't work. It doesn't flow well. Again, this is happening so quick, such fast paced, and there's no time to breathe, and it's not working well. It feels like a mess. It feels confusing. It doesn't feel exciting. It feels like a mess, and it doesn't feel that Bendis has a handle on where he wants to take this narrative. It's not working for me. Maybe it's working for some of you guys. You can let me know what you think. There is excitement here in the sense that there's high tension, there's a lot at stake, but quite frankly, in the upcoming issue of Supergirl, much more is revealed about the secrets of Rogol-Zar than we're actually getting in the pages of Superman, and it's depressing that we're getting more information about Rogol-Zar in the pages of Supergirl than we are in the pages of Superman. I love what Mark Andreyko's doing in the pages of Supergirl. He's doing a really good job, but it's really sad that Superman feels like it's such a mess of a narrative, and it's not happening in a coherent manner. Major plot points are being revealed at a snail pace, and we have cringeworthy dialogue that is dragging the story down so badly as we're moving forward, and it just sucks the life out of the story, and it's really, really sad. And boy, oh boy, did Bendis massively screw up with aging John Kent. There is no narrative purpose for aging up John Kent. We don't need an older Superboy. We already have one in Connor Kent in the pages of Young Justice. We don't need another 17-year-old in the Superman family. It's a huge mistake. Maybe we're finally going to get some decent action here, but I'm not going to hold my breath. All the questions I have, the stuff that I'm actually interested, the story elements that I would actually be interested in seeing, we're not seeing. He skips over them. I'd be much more interested to know what the adventures are of John Kent on Crime Syndicate Earth than I am about listening to Superman and Lois have cringeworthy dialogue with each other, and Lois treat Clark like crap in the pages of Action Comics, and then turn around and expect us to believe that she's a sensible woman in the pages of Superman. Absolute nonsense. But in any event, I'm going to stop talking now. Guys, tell me what you think of Superman issue 10. Follow me on Twitter at Metropolis40. And until next time, Comic Boom out.